Today's date is January 21st, 2012. We're at Paragraphs on Padre, and I'm interviewing Bob Doerr from San Antonio, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about his writing. So, you say your writing began in the last few years more seriously, but that you've been writing for some time.
Right. Yes, I've always had an interest in, I guess, telling stories and writing. And as my children grew up, I used to write short stories for them when they started to learn how to read. More in the children's category, but still wrote stories. And in between, when they became too old to read my short stories anymore, I'd write short stories just for fun, and like either kind of a fantasy, science fiction, mystery, or whatever. But I never really did anything with those stories. And then I started writing short stories for my grandkids when they got of age reading. And actually, my first book, I had a rough draft at years ago. I just never put it together until I stopped working altogether 3 years ago. And that's when I really, almost 3.5 now. It's 2012, isn't it? That's when I really got serious about trying to write and get published.
And how many books have you had published?
Four books published. A little publisher out of Friendswood, Texas, called Total Recall Publications.
Is it electronic publishing where you?
No, it's a regular independent publisher. He does hardcover, paperback, and electronic. He also do audio, but I haven't had any of my books put in audio yet.
That's a whole different game, putting it into audio. You about have to know somebody from Fireside Theater.
Right. That's, I think, he's an independent publisher. I think he realized that if he got into it, it's a little more complicated.
So you were telling me a little bit about you were in the Air Force,
right,
and with CID?
No, it was OSI.
OSI.
Similar to CID, similar to NCIS. Basically, OSI is like the FBI, but it's inside the Air Force. They investigate any kind of felony that takes place in the Air Force. They also investigate or look into counterintelligence matters, counterterrorism issues, anti-terrorism. They run that gamut like that.
Okay. So back to, I was asking you if you used some of your
experiences in the Air Force.
Yeah.
Yes, only from the standpoint that I use that as background knowledge to kind of come up with plots and ideas. The books are fictional. They're not based on any real investigation. It's just, I guess, things my imagination have come up with, but I do use my knowledge of how police agencies work, jurisdiction, and overall crime to write them.
Where is the settings of some of your different books?
I've used New Mexico in my first and second book. My third one was Texas, and fourth one's in Colorado. Currently working on a fifth, and it's back in the New Mexico area.
Back in New Mexico. Any particular area?
Ruidoso, New Mexico, and also the Santa Fe area.
My girlfriend's sister and brother-in-law have a big house in Ruidoso.
Oh, good.
So familiar with it, and of course I've read about New Mexico through the teachings of Tony Hillerman.
That's right.
Yes,
that's right. Yeah.
And then you said you've done some stories about science fiction and children's
Yes,
stories.
but those are I just have those on my computer and all. I never really tried to get any of those published or anything. But I did a lot of that initially when I was writing just for fun and just to have things for my children and grandchildren to read and stuff like that.
Good to have a deadline of sorts.
Yeah.
If you were to offer any advice to would-be mystery writers, where would they start?
Well, a couple things. I'd recommend they get involved with local writers groups. Try to find a group of other peers that are trying to become authors and get involved with their clubs, groups, activities, or whatever. And just start writing and stay with it. It's really just a matter of persistence, or keep going trial by error. You learn as you go along. I think I'm a better author now in my fourth book than I was in my first book. Just a matter of progressing like that.
You have a tendency to read each one with a more critical eye.
Yes.
By the time you're to your fourth one, you look back at your first one and you realize, oh my gosh, I could have developed this, or I didn't need to develop that.
That's right. In fact, over time, you get a lot of advice from a lot of people, about things that you did wrong, or you wouldn't have done it this way, or how about this, and all those thoughts, they weigh on you when you're working on your new story. Some you ignore, but a lot you kind of address at some point.
Yeah, it's like sometimes a new story has to be a canvas and work for quite some time before it becomes.
Right. Yeah. I just come up with ideas and settings and kind of go from there.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Do you have anything else you'd like to?
No, that I appreciate being down here. It's a beautiful place.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.